So here's this gorgeous moment. Things are calm again. Today is a special day here in Israel. And for the Jewish people around the world, they're celebrating Purim. I think we remember the story of Esther in the Bible. So it has a traditional manner of celebration. A combination of, for those who are religious, of fasting and then of feasting. And they dress up a little bit like carnival style. And have a bit of a wild celebration, if you will. The story of Esther is a story of liberation, of enmity, of hostility, of a woman with her great feminine ability, which also shows itself in prayer and faith. And in a way, an exercise of the feminine genius, how she gets the king to really pay attention and to reverse his course of having allowed the destruction of the people and instead eliminating the enemy. It's a story that captures imagination very much, of how we find solution to problems. Major problems, conflicts in the world, conflicts in society, conflicts in the family, conflicts at business. And it's wonderful to be able to eliminate the enemy. We have that bit of a strand, I think, in our thinking, our reactions always when we are faced with difficulty, with those kind of difficulties, conflicts between people. And in a way, those are the themes today of the readings, even though they don't address at all the story of Purim. It's like just coincidence, really, in the calendar that we have the readings we have today for Wednesday of the second week of Lent. Good morning. And the fact that the calendar for the Jewish calendar has the feast of Purim today. So in the first reading of Jeremiah the prophet, it's about internal corruption in the people themselves. And then he has been led by God to speak out against the sins of his own people. That's a very uncomfortable thing to have to do. And now his life is in danger and being harassed by the leadership because they don't like the call, being called out on their abuses, their infidelity to the covenant. And so his life is completely threatened. And he cries out to God for help. In the same way, the psalm expresses the same themes. Save me, O Lord, in your kindness. I hear the whispers of the crowd that frighten me from every side. as they consult together against me. You think of people that are threatened by bigger neighbors in business, in politics, in the international scene. Or even little kids on a playground. I hear the whispers that frighten me from every side. It's such a human reality. Sometimes there's great injustice there. Very hard to bear. One needs a great nerve in those moments. A nerve of humility, of confidence in God. And that's the struggle of prayer. And that's one of the major lines of Jeremiah's life, one of the major dimensions of his life. Very deeply opposed in his ministry for God's word. And there we think of all the people who were persecuted, religious persecution for their faith, for their convictions. And it's an ongoing theme that exists today. And then we have another theme that in the gospel look at the way this has grown here. We haven't been over here for a while with all the rain and everything. All these plants have grown tall in a couple of weeks. Very bounty of nature. And yet we have a late spring because of the cold weather. I didn't check the temperature this morning, but it must be around the same as yesterday, probably about 6 degrees, probably 5 degrees, I'm not sure. So it's a very crisp morning. I saw a little outline of Mount Hermon, but maybe when the sun comes up a little more, it might shine better for us here. This has the smell of fresh cut grass, which I love, and the farm with the cutting of the hay. So they mowed this apparently yesterday or the day before. So then in the theme of Lent, we're going along following Jesus. We have one of these very clear moments today. Where he's really openly helping the apostles to understand that his path is heading towards Calvary. And they don't like this. Well, they really almost don't get it because their reactions are very worldly. That same kind of reaction that we had just spoken about a moment ago, a human reaction. So Jesus on his way up to Jerusalem, that's a very serious line because we know what that means. And he took the 12 disciples aside. So he's not telling this to the whole crowd. The crowd isn't ready at all. The crowd wants miracles of healing and miracles of feeding and teachings that are not as demanding. So he takes the 12 aside because they have more confidence in him. They have been closer to him. They have grown in his friendship. And so he can tell them, it's like in a family. Somebody has discovered that there's a tumor or cancer or some piece of bad news. Well, you don't tell everybody. You tell people of the greatest confidence first. And you bring them in little by little into this new chapter that's unfolding in one's life. And Jesus says, and behold, we're going up to Jerusalem. And the Son of Man will be handed over to the chief priests and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death. And hand him over to the Gentiles to be mocked and scourged and crucified, and he will be raised on the third day. So this has gone completely over their heads because we see a little bit of lobbying going on. And here we see a mom, like good moms do, look out for the best for their children. And with all her good qualities, there she is approaching Jesus and asking him with all her finesse of relationship. And she honors Jesus with her words, with her gestures. And she says, could you get first place for my kids in your kingdom? Because Jesus is talking about the coming of the kingdom. But the part of the suffering completely escaped her attention and their attention. She said, what do you wish? What would you like? Command that these two sons of mine sit, one at your right and the other at your left in your kingdom. Jesus said in reply, you do not know what you're asking. So he turns to the two guys and he says, hey, are you ready to drink the cup I will drink? And they said, yes. So he said, well, I can share that with you, but telling you which place you have in the kingdom, that's not mine to give. Sometimes leaders promise things they can't give because they want support. And Jesus said, I can let you in on the work of the mission and the suffering of the mission, but the rest is in the Father's hands. We have that great line, the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours now and forever. In the liturgy, before Holy Communion, the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours. And we want to make the kingdom, the power, and the glory ours. And sure, Jesus is going through the whole thing for our salvation, to save us from destruction, to save his people from destruction. The path is different. It's interesting how Christianity proposes a path that's not of redemption by power, by armies, by leveraging money, by powerful political relationships. The Christian proposal that Jesus offers is, if you want to be my disciple, you want to be part of the kingdom, you want to drink the cup, you want to take up your cross every day and follow me. You want to lay down your life for others. You want to be a redeeming person, not a condemning person, not one who destroys enemies by killing them, but one who destroys enmity by redeeming people, by winning them back. with great patience, with great love, recovering the addict, recovering the rebel, recovering the angry one. A patient task, many times most ungrateful, until there's full recovery. Then there will be great celebration. Sometimes with great suffering, like Jeremiah suffered. And this is our path. And it's not a path of weakness. On the contrary, it's a path of real strength. It's the other side of the Beatitudes. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who suffer injustice for the kingdom. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. It's a different path. And it's a real path of redemption, a real path of overcoming evil in the world. That's why we can't hate our enemies. We have to love them, pray for them, do good to those who persecute you. And that's a hard path of maturity in the spiritual life to learn. It takes a lot of growth, spiritual stability, prayer life, denying self and putting others ahead of ourselves. A life of service, of speaking well of others, of excusing people, not condemning. So this is also a day of great reflection for us in our lives. I don't think we have a shortage of problems we see around us in the world. And we would love to fix them all, but the path that Jesus proposes is quite the challenge there. Mount Arbel is on fire with flowers. We're a little too far away to get the beauty of that yellow. So people, I think that's good for today. I wish you a great day, a blessed day. Let's do our little selfie moment here so you can see I'm really there. God bless you. See you later, alligators.